Welcome. It's not really a great day to be a miner. I guess it's a day to be a miner because I got robbed. We're going to talk about it, but first, let's go ahead and spin that intro. Welcome. So today I just want to tell you about how I got robbed, how I got my crypto stolen, and give you the entire background, and hopefully my ignorance will help you in the future. It'll help keep you safe. So let me give you a quick rundown. A few weeks ago I started mining Flux again. I haven't mined it for quite some time. I have been on Ergo mostly, and I've been stacking that. Check out my videos on that, of course. I'll have a 1 week on Ergo and a 1 month on Ergo coming out soon, and I'll tell you exactly how profitable it is and how much I made and all those fun specs. But I started mining Flux and I only had 14 30 series GPs on it, and I go to check and I said, well, I should be at about 50 Flux by now. I've been mining it long enough and I hadn't checked my balance in about a week. I go to my Zelcore wallet and I open it up and I only have 15 Flux in there, and I'm like, okay, what the Flux? And I go look, and 37. I had 37 Flux transferred out of my Zelcore wallet, which happens to be the entire amount I had at that time. Someone took it all. They took everything that I had Flux-wise out of there. They didn't take the additional, they didn't take the Ergo, so somehow they took my Flux. So then I started digging, and I go to the Discord, I go to the community, I start searching. So let's get into the specs, and we're gonna talk about how I got robbed and how that you can protect yourself and what I'm doing to protect myself going forward for this instance. So I hope my ignorance is your bliss. I hope that you can learn something from this video and from my mistake. And let's go ahead and jump over onto the PC and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. Let's go. All right, so like I said, I have been mining Flux and I figured I should have around 50 Flux in my wallet. So I jump over into my wallet. I want to see exactly how much I have, and wait a second. I got less than 20 Flux. Something's wrong. Something is not right. So I go and I start looking through the transactions, and what do I find? Right there on November 26th at 2:45 a.m. my time, somebody emptied my wallet of all the Flex I have. This is the Zelcore wallet, multi-asset wallet. It's a great wallet, it's a great product, and I've been using it since 2018, and that kind of brings me to a security issue that is more with me than it is with the Zelcore wallet itself. So we figure this out. We see that I've lost this money. I track the transaction, and if you actually go into your Zelcore over, and when you see the ins and outs, you can click on it and it'll show the transaction ID, and you can actually jump to the Explorer and look at the transaction and see all the verifications and whatnot. And from there, I jumped to a wallet that took my my Flux, and it only had about 300 in there total. Okay, so what's going on? But I traced it, and it had paid out into a mega wallet. The mega wallet had 153,000 Flux in there, 38,000 transactions. There are bots set up to attack and to take the Flux out of people's wallets, and it is sending it into different smaller wallets and then moving it around, and it's moving and moving and moving, and this is making it so that it's very hard to track. And it's not like you could just flag one address, or you could flag one wallet and then you could stop this. And I don't want to cause panic, because this is probably something that won't affect most people that are mining Flux or that use the Zelcore wallet. Let me give you the background of my setup and my situation. I have been mining Zel. I started mining Zel before it was Flux back in 2018, and I had been on that project since the get-go, since this wallet first went live, since it first started being mineable, and I had stacked up a huge bag at one time, and I dumped that out. I dumped it out for about $150, $6,250 actually. I sold 6,250 Flux, which was still Zel, for $150 worth of BTC. And that was in May of 2020, before the boom. I cost myself about $35,000 of assets there. So yeah, anyway, the story is, I've been mining this stuff. I've been on the project for years and years, and so I really didn't have much stacked in here. I started mining again. It disappeared, and I started doing some research. I followed the transaction. The transaction is leading me down this rabbit hole, and I'm seeing where a ton of Flux is being stolen. How is it getting stolen? So I go to the Discord. I was talking to people. I talked to some of the moderators in the Flux Discord. I particularly was talking to Crypto Ghosty. He's a mod in there that's very active, very helpful. There's a handful of them in there that really are always on there, always willing to help people out. And he gave me this. He's telling me the only way it could have been compromised, he spelled compromised, it's compromised, would be that you interacted with a bad actor, scammer, in a DM, you interacted with a scam on Reddit, TG, Twitter, or the like. I know for sure, I didn't get those two. Your PC mobile has been compromised by a virus. That's always a possibility. You may have a keylogger running on your PC, also a possibility. And obviously, there's nothing that Flux or Zelcore can do to help you recover the lost Flux or any other coins that were stolen. And it says the advice is that you should install a new Zelcore wallet on another PC with a strong username, password, and use 2FA, two-factor authentication, and then you should send any remaining funds out of your Zelcore wallet into the new Zelcore wallet on another PC, and then of course set up all the security, very strong password, 2FA, use a VPN if possible, and make sure that it's a clean OS and that you haven't been downloading a lot of things. And that all brings me back to my setup. I've had this on this PC, my main battle station, since 2018. I mine on this PC sometimes, and I have mined many speculative altcoins through the years. I've installed NiceHash with all of their questionable miners throughout the years. I'm sure that somehow I have downloaded or interacted improperly. I did not have two-factor authentication enabled. I do now. You can bet I do now. They didn't touch my Exodus wallet. I moved it off of here. Not having it on my PC anymore. They didn't really mess with any other login or any kind of other account. So I feel like they didn't even take... They took the Bitcoin out of the wallet and they took the Flux. Nothing else came out. I really feel like this is targeted at Flux, whatever this is, and however it's targeted at the Zelcore wallet, and it's targeted at the Zelcore wallets without two-factor on compromised computers, however that is, whether it's you downloaded a miner that could be compromised, is it some mini Z old version, is there some malicious activity in one of those miners I downloaded? Probably. That, in my opinion, that's where this came from. My whole problem came from downloading something. So, yeah, let's take a look at that wallet now. It's a day later. That 153,000 Flux was in that wallet. Let's see what that wallet looks like today. This morning, when I checked this address that had 153,000 Flux from yesterday, it had 1,400. Now, it has 231,000. I have no idea what's going on with this address, how they're working this, but you can see the total received, total sent. Total received 159, total sent 158. Somehow they now have a final balance, 231,000, 38,000 transactions, and this is where I followed my rabbit hole. This is where I followed my transaction, went to a wallet that went to here. I don't know if this is an exchange. I'm not sure where my funds actually went, but I know it went to this wallet at one point. Now, beyond that, my sleuthing skills on tracking crypto across the blockchain are pretty lacking. So But I know that eventually my funds ended up here, and this thing is huge and it keeps fluctuating wildly. So yeah, anyway, there's where my funds are. Now let's talk about how you can protect yourself. How can you stay safe so that this doesn't happen to you? First and foremost, crypto wallets can be compromised. Any software can be compromised. You want to keep your crypto ultimately safe. Buy the best hardware wallet, store it there in a cold storage. That's your ultimate storage for safety. Realistically, you want to use the Zelcore, you want to use Exodus, don't put them on your main everyday PC. Don't put them on a PC that you're downloading things. Put them on a separate PC. Put them on a different hard drive. Use a VPN virtual private network. This can help to keep you safer. Make sure you're not downloading anything. Make sure your password is super secure. My password was a pretty decent password. It is using uppercase, lowercase numbers, and a symbol. However, it's also a common one that I've used across other things, other applications, many other emails, yada yada. I've since changed all of them thanks to this little incident. Yeah, so there's a huge one. Enable your two-factor. If there's a two-factor authentication, which there clearly is in Zelcore, make sure to activate it. It's really easy to do. And that brings me to another piece about when you activate it in Zelcore. One of the devs showed me this, and it's a really good one to do. So when you first get your Zelcore open, you're going to do your login, and of course you want to make a very strong password. Like I said, make it something that you're not using somewhere else. Write that thing down on a piece of paper somewhere that's very secure and won't get lost. You could also use some kind of password apps, but again, be careful what software you're using. A hard copy in a notebook that stays by your computer or stays in a secure location is a great way to safely store this. So yeah, a secure password, and then once you get past the password login, I'll show you how to set up the 2FA, and then I'll show you the recommended way to enter your PIN once you've already set that up. So let's do that real quick. I'll go ahead and enter my username and password. Okay, so I already entered my username and password, and here is the two-factor authentication where I've already had it set up. So the key here too is to not use the numbers on your keyboard. Use the integrated keypad to type in your PIN, and what this does is the numbers move around so that a keystroke logger can't grab them, and since the numbers aren't in the same place every time, they couldn't easily record where you're clicking on the screen either because the numbers are not in the same place in the screen. So I'll enter that real quick and then jump in. Okay, so here I am in my wallet, and you can see I don't have a ton of funds built up in here. This isn't like a main storage for me, and I do have some Ergo and some other things, but I don't have a ton stored in this wallet. I have them dispersed upon different places for safety reasons, and that's a whole different method that you can also help to mitigate some of the risk, because if somebody gets into one or the other, they're not going to take all of your funds. So then once you're in here, if you want to set up your two-factor authentication, let me move this over here. You want to set up your two-factor authentication. You want to go to the apps first. Down here on your left side, your menu, go to your apps. And then you want to go to the Zel ID. And that is where you will set up your two-factor. So right there is where you want to set up your two-factor. You would click into it, and then it's going to ask you to log in. You're going to log in again. You're going to verify your password so that you can get in there, and then you're going to set your 2FA. You're going to set up a PIN number, and that PIN number will take a microtransaction, and it will use the blockchain to set up your 2FA. So it's going to make a very small amount of your Flux. So if you have 0 Flux, you can't set up your 2FA. You got to put a very tiny piece in there just so that they can set up your 2FA. Now your 2FA is set up and you're so much safer. Now once your 2FA is set up, don't use your number pad again. Make sure to use the on-screen keyboard in your Zelcore. That'll keep you safer. So circling back, the gist of all this is I got robbed. It was only about 37 Flux. It was current price of like 50 cents per Flux. I lost less than $20. it could have been a lot worse. If I was still sitting on that 6,250 Flux and I just lost a lot of money, I would be pretty disheartened. But fortunately for me, I didn't have a ton of Flux in there, and they weren't able to rob me blind. And I hope that you learn something from this, and I hope that you all stay safe. And to be good to one another. This is the problem with society, is everybody's trying to get rich off somebody else. People writing programs to steal from other people, and that's what's wrong with the world. But I digress. I hope that my ignorance and me getting robbed will help you. Now I'm just rambling. I want to thank you, as always, for coming along here and listening to me and joining and learning with me on this journey together. Let's go ahead and cut to that outro. Well, there you have it. Yeah, I got robbed. It was just a small amount, but it could have been a lot worse. And it's a great reminder to have that there are so many bad actors out there. There are so many people trying to get rich off of someone else's work. Be good to one another. I'm a strong believer that what comes around goes around. Karma, these people that are just trying to get rich off someone else, eventually they'll get theirs. So my advice to you is to be smart out there, be good to one another. In the end, that's what it's all about, man. It's about the community. It's not about trying to get rich off of each other and trying to step on one another. And if you need some help, make sure to join the Misfit Mining Discord. There's always plenty of seasoned vets in there willing to help you out. And if you like the video, you know what to do. Smash that like button and subscribe for future content. Thanks for coming along and enjoy the ride.